Nikia, I don't think we've met before, have we?
Not personally, but I've been on one of your calls before.
Okay. And then Nikia, I see you as well. I don't think we've met before, have we?
No, I don't think so. I've
Great.
been coming for about 4 weeks now.
Nice. And you investor, wholesaler, real estate agent? What do you do? What's your jam?
Real estate agent, investor,
Nice. And where do you sell real estate?
Las Vegas. Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Very nice. Okay,
Mhm.
so let me turn this back on and just get everything kind of finalized. Let's get that name off that's wrong. There we go. Okay, good. And got a few more people coming in. And then William Holmes. I know William Holmes for sure. How you doing, William? Nice to see you. And who else we got? Tracy Parra. I don't think we've met before.
No, I'm just saw this and I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Great. What do you do? Real estate agent, investor?
I was an agent. I let my license lapse in 2008, and now I'm trying to get a background to be a real estate investor.
Okay, cool. Paul Krause, good friend, welcome to our call. Shartana, aka Cece, welcome to our call.
Thanks, Bill. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. So Annabelle's traveling. One of the benefits of investing in multifamily, and then one of the jobs is one of the benefits is spending time with family in great exotic locations.
They don't even know I was out.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me get that down. And so she was with Grant Cardone's group over the last weekend, was their 10X Growth Con. And then as well as, okay, hold on, I got my name. I'm gonna rename myself here real quick. Bill Gross. So we avoid confusion.
Bill, have you heard some of the Growth Con or yeah, I'm listening to some audio, and well, it's video, right? So
let me do this. Let me launch the call in the live stream quick, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about that. I love talking.
sure.
About that. So we're gonna go live in 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Bill Gross, and I'm a Los Angeles-based real estate broker, the LA probate expert. I'm filling in today for Annabelle Pacheco, my team member. We do a weekly call on multifamily investments, focusing on out of Southern California. Annabelle is a successful and accomplished investor and in multifamily, and one of the benefits of her being in multifamily investments is she's traveled this weekend to be with Grant Cardone in the Growth Con, and then she's hanging around for a few days extra with her family in Miami. So while we're sitting here working on increasing our income and wealth, she is laying around the pool, spending some of her income, but not diluting her wealth, because the real estate grows and appreciates every day, whether you work or not. So Paul, we were just talking a little bit real quick. You were saying about the Growth Con?
Yeah. So I've got to unmute myself here. Okay. Yeah. So I received a bunch of the invitations, and I actually, now that I think about it, I'm watching the keynote right now, and I don't even know what I spent, but I signed up for a bunch of things, and I already just got one really, really great idea from just watching his very first video, and highly recommend it to everybody. If you're looking for a breakthrough in anything, which I'm always looking for a breakthrough in something, his very first keynote video, I think there's a total of 12 videos. I'm on like number 1, and it was just it was just great to listen, and just kind of, I was dialed in to what he was saying, and it hit at the right time. So great stuff.
So, a couple of things. Number 1, Grant is a master real estate investor, focusing in primarily in multifamily, large multifamily, 300 and up units is his focus. And he interviews several master real estate investors. I went to his real estate boot camp or tax boot camp last year in July. And then I did the Growth Con virtually last year. And then this year I did it live virtually, and then I subscribed to the video, but I don't have access to the video yet. I'm not sure why you have it and I don't, but I checked this morning. It was great. It was some great stuff. And so I think, as you go through a real estate investment career, if you're new or on the, as he says, come up, you really got to do two things, which is one, learn from people who really know what they're doing. And second, you have to keep your mind in the game, your head in the game, your mindset, because you really try to transform yourself from a caterpillar to a butterfly. If you've gone through life barely paying your bills or struggling or broke, and you really want to be somebody who has enough money to live the life you want and to have, passive income or residual income, pay for that lifestyle, that's a whole different being. And I'm saying this as somebody who's a good way through that transition, but not through it myself. I'm not yet, I could live without making more money. I couldn't live as well as I want to. And so for this stage of my life, the more I make, the better life I can live for the rest of my life. And so I'm trying to improve that. So I tell myself I'm broke every day to keep myself well I can working, though I have my priorities straight. My grandson was here for half hour in the morning. I walked him in our new stroller, and we're babysitting him here tonight. But the point is that you got to keep your head in the game, and the thinking that got you broke and thinking that got you barely able to pay the bills won't get you to where you want to go. So you got to be pouring into your brain some positive things, some changes to your mindset. And Grant is a master. He is so focused, so clear on his thinking. And then he interviews people, and so who are also surprisingly so focused and clear. The thing that always amazes me is he interviews people who I think of as merely entertainers, but I've come to realize that you cannot be a huge, or I don't want to say can't be, you're probably not likely to be a hugely successful entertainer without being a very savvy business person. And even the people just strike me as the most simpleton in their entertainment. When they get interviewed, you find out they're very well thought out, every step of it. So number one, and so Paul's recommending, and I would recommend as well, Grant Cardone had his 10X Growth Con. And if you didn't go live for about $5,000, I paid $197 for the video. You can get it now for $97. Well worth it. 3 days of great speakers, hugely successful, and will help keep your mind right. Number two is Grant and some of the other speakers talk about real estate and investing and the mindset it takes. And you have to learn from people and learn from people who are going to teach you the right way and have the actual success. One of his rules is only take advice on investing for people who have more money than you. Very important, because I know a lot of people who have coaching companies, investments and such. They're not really worth anything at all. And I look at their numbers. I see real estate agents training real estate agents. They don't know what they're doing based on the numbers. They don't have the expertise to be coaching and training. So one of the reasons I got out of coaching was to improve my sales, because I felt that I didn't have the credibility that I wanted to have, even though I felt like I have a message, because it's important to be that person. So the Grant Cardone 10X Growth Con just ended, and the prior years are also very good. But the most prior year, I think, he's just so focused and so clear on what's supposed to happen. So good. Any particular points, Paul, that you got out of listening to it?
The biggest point that touched base for me, Bill, was when he said that the people that are in your organization that you're surrounded by, like whether it be an assistant or an acquisitions director, or if it's someone who helps you with technology, whatever, their job is to help you to be the dreamer of that business and give you that space to still be the dreamer, to drive the vision of where that ship's going to go, that business is going to go, so that you're not just operating in the business. And everyone gets stuck at some point operating the ship, rolling up their sleeves. And he's not saying don't work, but what he's saying, like what you were suggesting, is that the attraction of bringing those people who have the talent to do what it is you need them to do is so critical, so that the time that you are using when you are working and you're in your business is still to be the driver of where that ship is going to go. So even if, for example, if you're a listing agent, it's not just I'm going to be a listing agent for life, but rather than kind of like what you did with probate, you turned it into a probate business. And yes, you work in the business, but you've also surrounded yourself now with some people that help you to be the dreamer of where that needs to go next. And the way he described and the way he said that is touching home for me, because my business now, fortunately, is starting to pick up some steam so that we can really make some traction. And that advice is so critical now, because what he said is so true. I was having that conversation with my partner that, us being free from some of the day-to-day is what allows us to figure out where to next take our partnership, where to take our business. And if we're constantly in our job, there'll be no time to do that kind of planning. So it was great advice, very timely. And, if you get one great idea, it's totally worth it. So.
Totally. Look, I make a lot of money. One idea improves my business 10%, 20%. It's worth a fortune. It's funny because the same skill that makes me successful in business is a real challenge as a husband. A business person, I only want to do what I have to do. Anything anybody else can do, I want them to do it. And I want to spend all my time doing things that only I can do.
Right.
For my business today, communicating in a group of people. I'm on this call today, there's 14 participants, and there'll be a couple hundred who watch the video. So I'm communicating with a lot of people at once, very highly leveraged activity. Talking to people is what I do. Filling out forms, paperwork, all that administrative work. My goal is to get somebody else to handle all of it. Now, there's some limitations. We're practical. And one of the rules I have is you can't delegate something you don't know what to do, at least have a concept of it. Or it's very hard to, I should say. So, but yeah, his point is your job as an entrepreneur is to dream about what your business can become and find people who can handle the lower work. There was a real estate agent I was talking to about joining my team a year and a half ago, and he came on a call yesterday while he was driving, I guess as a chauffeur or a limo driver or Uber or something. And I'm thinking, wow, because I know I can't afford to drive. When people ask me to meet with them, right, it's an hour meeting with them, but it's like a half hour there and back at least, right? That's 2 hours. That has to be a very valuable meeting for 2 hours, given what I'm making now in my business. And I have a guy who just really is kind of pinning me down. How come you don't want to meet with me? It's not personal. Come to my house. I have a beautiful home office. I have a beautiful patio in the back. We'll sit down. I'll bring lunch in. We'll have a nice time. But if you can't come here, I'm just not going to go to try to get business from you and have a cup of coffee. It's just not worth the hourly rate, because I can do with Zoom and phone calls. I have enough people coming towards me. And I think that's what Grant has. So many people coming to him is to sort through the ones that make sense and run with the ones that don't. I think as a real estate investor, you have to be really clear. What are your jobs? What's your main job as a real estate investor? Because so many people come on calls, and I appreciate you being here and learn. Well, what are you learning? You can learn things you don't need to do past a certain point. But I would say one of the things, what Grant taught me was, one of the main jobs is looking at deals. Your job is to look at deals and run the numbers and see if it makes sense or not. And I find universally that investors tell me they look at 150 deals in detail for every one they buy. So if you've only looked at 5 or 10 deals, you probably haven't started to look at enough deals to find a good one, right? So what is your job as a business person in real estate? And I would say for those of you on the call who are not just investors, but also realtors or realtors to investors, the beauty of being a realtor and investor is you can use the real estate lead generation to find the deal generation, right? How are you going to find deals? Or one way to find deals if you're a realtor is to talk to people who own property and see if they want to sell it. And if they want to sell it and it's a good deal, you can buy it, right? So the purpose, and I find most investors also wholesale out some deals because they get more deals coming that are good than they can handle, or they get deals that are just below their standard, but they have a friend who'd be glad to take that deal and give them $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 or more. Glad to, right? I had a deal I did as an agent, but if I wasn't an agent, I was an investor and I didn't want to pass on it. It was a deal where we bought it for $2 million. We're selling for over $3 million. It's $1 million on the table. If I called you up and said, hey, I have a deal for you, you can make $1 million on, would you cut me in for 100,000? If I was an investor, you'd say, sure. You'd want to look at the numbers, of course. So, but that requires deal flow. You got to look at a lot of deals. You got to generate a lot of deals. And so I would say to anybody, whether you want to be an investor or you want to be a real estate agent, you just need to talk to more people. The reason I do this call, it's funny, I work really hard to build my calls. I do a call on Thursdays, Probate Weekly. I do a call on Tuesdays, Real Estate Investing Zoom. And then I help my team members build their platforms. This is Annabelle's platform. I helped her launch this multifamily call. Paul is also a member of our team. He has a Tuesday rehab deals that he does because he's a contractor as well, an investor. And I tell them, and I've told them, the more people you talk to, the more deals you look at, the more money you make. So we want more deals. So when Annabelle was traveling and asked me if I would substitute to her call, I said, of course, I'm glad to talk to people about real estate. If you have a problem, I'm glad to try to help solve your problem. That's what I do. If I solve your problem, sometimes I get paid. So the bottom line is, for all of us, we have to look at more deals. What are you going to do to look at more deals? And that's what Grant would say, is get in action. And they'll point to the 10X growth con. The concept is, whatever you're doing now, if you're not achieving your goals, whatever you're doing now, if you did 10 times that, what would you have to do? And I heard that question in my business as a real estate agent. And I have talked to a lot more people, a lot more, 10 times more. Well, how do you do that? Well, I can't do it cold calling 3 hours a day on the phone, because 10 times 3 hours a day on the phone is 30 hours. That doesn't work. I can tell you that today my YouTube channel gets 11 hours a day of view time, 7 days a week. It's not quite 10 times, but it's getting there. It's growing towards that. And for all of you, when you talk to people, what are you doing to leverage your time? You're talking to bigger people, groups of people who can refer you business. What can you do to get 10 times more deal flow? If you're an investor, how can you look at 10 times more deals to find the good one? If every week you saw one good deal, you're going to buy a deal every 2 years. If every week you saw 10 deals, you'll buy 3 or 4 a year. It's just a function of numbers, right? True or true?
I think it's true. Bill, can I throw one thing in?
Sure.
I was listening to a guy on YouTube talking about money and things like that. And the interviewer was saying, well, why does money have to be such a big factor in all this? And what he said was a really interesting statement, which was, money makes us get off the couch and go meet people that we wouldn't normally go meet.
Yep.
And help them solve problems. Yep. That we can use our skills to solve those problems with. Now, a lot of us choose to do that, obviously, in real estate, but we don't necessarily meet them in a real estate setting. We don't meet them in an environment. Some people meet them at a party or at a church or at a family function or at a friend's, whatever, birthday party or whatever it is. And we use money as a token of our good faith that's the value that we bring to help solve those problems, right? So if there was no money, then where would really the motivation come from to get off the couch and go meet people you would never meet? Like some of the people even on this call, I've never heard before, but now that I know that, for example, Nakia is in Las Vegas, well, I go to Las Vegas pretty frequently, so I might want to reach out to her. You know what I mean? Like there's reasons why money has value in what we do, and it really forces us to grow. And to what you were saying earlier, it's just, and I didn't mean to go off on a tangent a little bit, but I just want to say that to your point, goals and all this stuff is super, super critical.
Yeah, look, I'm religious. I would say that God created a world where designed for us to help each other, and the incentive is the pay we get. The first real estate deal recorded is in the Old Testament, where Abraham bought a burial plot for his wife Sarah, and he went to the elders and got the deed recorded basically by publicly recording the purchase and exchanging it for whatever the price was. He might have been a bad negotiator, but he got the prized piece of property that still exists today. And I think that that's just a format for us to think about. It's not about the money. The money is the medium of exchange that allows us to do things. I'm part of a Jewish synagogue here, a community synagogue, and my rabbi's struggling to get a certain project off the ground, and I made a lot of money. And I just said, well, what if I just sponsored this or that? He's all, great. And for him, it was a source of great pain. For me, I closed a big deal and I give a certain percentage of my income. And because I make money, yes, I have a family life. Yes, I can buy things for my family that I otherwise might not do. But I also can give things to the community. I can be generous to other people as well. One of my rules is from a movie. If you ever saw, one of my favorite movies of all time is My Blue Heaven, with I think one of the greatest talents ever, Steve Martin, very underrated, amazing actor. is a scene where he tips the stewardess, the flight attendant on a plane, which you know we normally wouldn't do that. And he says, it's not tipping I believe in, it's over tipping. And I believe that. I believe that, when people are struggling, when I get my haircut, when I go to a restaurant, these people, for the most part, have had a pretty tough couple of years. Compared to me, I've had my best years ever income wise and wealth wise. And so, rather than tip the normal $5, if they tip 20, I like make their day. Sometimes I ask them, what's the biggest tip you had today? And I'll just match it or give more. Just, I've been blessed. Why not? It's not a lot of money. It doesn't cost me that much. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm challenging you to enjoy the process of giving to people, to make enough money to be generous of spirit rather than have to be tight with it. Whatever it is. Hey, Trace, I see your note there. I'd love to know more detail about it. If you want to privately send to me offline, I'd be all ears. If you want to talk about it here online now and go through the property address, we have people here who might be candidates to buy it or might be candidates to find buyers for you. So I don't want to push you if you're not comfortable, but I would love to see property Kaipa. I have listings in Joshua Tree. I would love to try to put something together for you. So I'll leave that for you to take the next step.
If you want to hear a little bit more about it, I'm happy to share. I don't want to hijack your call. I wasn't even sure if it was appropriate to put it. So thank you, Bill. That was nice of you.
Sure. Is it listed for sale?
It's what it is my family home. My dad and mom built it in 1964. It's a custom home, has cathedral ceilings, fireplace, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's on an acre, which probably can be subdivided because they allow half-acre lots. And it's an as is. We're trying to sell it. Dad passed away in December, and so we're trying to get, if we can find a cash offer, then we don't have to go through the longer process. But if that doesn't happen, then we will put it on the market.
Okay, so it's on the market yet. Are you sharing the address?
I can, and it's 11485. And get your Greek ready. It's Acropolis. Acropolis Drive in Yucaipa. 92399.
11485 Acropolis Drive in Yucaipa. Okay, so in beautiful Yucaipa.
It's actually, when I grew up, that was considered Snob Hill because my parents, yep, that's the house. My parents had the foresight to build outside of what was downtown Yucaipa. And so it's on an acre lot, which there just aren't very many of those in the neighborhood because the city, when they came in and took it from septic to sewer, a lot of lots got scrunched down to the half acre.
Got it.
And across the street at that El Dorado, that's where the fire was last year, the tragic fire with the baby reveal. That is all going to be, it's slated to be a winery. And so the property, the values now will just exponentially grow. So it's a really good time to get a beautiful home and possibly subdivide. And if not, it's just a beautiful home. It does need some TLC. Dad ended up with Alzheimer's. And even before that, he just wasn't into, he loves his yard. That was his thing. So not the interior, but the exterior.
Are you have pictures of the interior?
I do. They're really not good, but they're on Instagram. And if you go to foreveryoung.1931, because my dad died almost at 90 years old and he was doing 40 push-ups almost to the end.
Wow.
Forever Young 1931 on Instagram. It gives you an idea of what it looks like interior, but it also has the mess because we're just now going through that process.
Oh, and forever FOREVERYUNG.1931 on Instagram.
Correct, on Instagram.
Okay, good. Well, let me see if I can pull that real fast.
So if it's something somebody wants, we're entertaining offers and cash is great as is because although my brother's a contractor, if we can sell it sooner, it's just going to be easier on the whole family dynamic. It's been very emotional for my brother but he's a contractor, so he will get it fixed up.
Got it. Nice. Okay. Well, good luck with that. If we can help, let me know. 11485 Acropolis Drive, not listed for sale. So you're looking for buyers. If you're an agent, you might want to package this up and have your buyer pay a commission and bring an offer on the
Oh.
property.
I am looking for a $15,000 finder's fee on, which would just be in the contract.
Okay.
If there is a deal that comes through me.
Okay. Fair enough. So reach out to Tracy if you're interested. And Tracy, how would somebody reach you?
You can call me or text me at 909-379-9083. And I'm within 2 miles of Dad's house if anybody wants to come see it.
Do you have an idea of a price?
We're kind of starting at about 730, 715 thereabouts. The comps are well over the 800s and then up to $1 million. But like I said, this is an as-is condition. So, and then if you subdivide it, it'd be obviously double your money.
Right. Okay, there you go. Tracy, thanks for sharing that. Always looking for deals. And there's a deal. Now, I'll just say in terms of, does it count as a deal as an investor to look at? I would say to you, only if you run the numbers. A deal counts in my book when you take it and then you evaluate it as to whether or not that's a deal for you. And what does that mean? It probably means comping it and seeing if that number is going to fit, whether you're going to add value to it in return for investment or buy it to resell it or bring it to investors. So probably this doesn't look to be to me like a investment property as much as perhaps for an owner user, and maybe they need to do some fix up when they get it. But it's not for me to say. I'm not moving to Yucaipa this week at least. So Tracy, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I did want to share, anybody else have any questions or challenges, any investments we can talk about? I have a little something I do want to share if anybody doesn't have anything. Feel free to put in the chat box if you have any questions or comments, or raise your hand in the Zoom app, or also feel free to just unmute yourself and jump in family style until that gets out of hand. I think we answered all those questions. Yeah. Okay, not seeing any. I just want to share with you, look, I've been in real estate since 1986. And, I think that it's going to sound like a sales pitch. And I guess it is to a degree, and it's self-serving, but, I want it to be a win-win. Nathan's unmuted. Unless you have a reason to mute yourself, I'm gonna go ahead and mute everybody up just to cover here. If you want to talk, raise your hand or put something in the chat box, or if you want to wave your hand real quick, I'm going to take a quick look on the video. I don't see anybody, but go ahead and put in the chat box or raise your hand. I'd be glad to call on you and ask questions. But I want to share with you. So going on the concept of, you got to look at a lot of deals. To make money, you got to look at a lot of deals. As a realtor, to sell a lot of houses, you got to look at a lot of deals and or talk to a lot of people. And so I want to share with you something you might think about. I know I am. One of the greatest books of my life was called In Search of Excellence. And it was written in about 1980 by a McKinsey consultant, where he evaluated the best companies in America. Now, this is when America was really the most powerful nation in the world by far. Russia wasn't close. It was getting ready to collapse. And China was not even on the world scene in a big way. And so he researched the greatest American companies. He took the largest 50 and added one private company, which was Hughes Aircraft Company, probably the best run company in American history, and the 50 largest private companies. He evaluated them as to what made them successful. What's fascinating is in 1980, one of the things that he found consistently was they all did a very few limited number of things really well. So if you think back to 1980, those you're old enough to know, what was on the McDonald's menu at the time? There was hamburger, cheeseburger, fish sandwich, fries, Big Mac was a big deal, quarter pounder was a big deal, and soft drinks, and I think milkshakes. And then they added apple pies, and then they added this, and they added that. And now I don't eat at McDonald's because it's not kosher, but I've been there for coffee. I can tell you the menu is enormous. I've been with other people and I've seen the drive-up menu. It's enormous. And the reason why they add those products is why. Anybody want to guess why did McDonald's have to add so many products to their menu? Anybody want to guess? You want to put in the chat box? Why did McDonald's have to put so many? Why did they go from their strength as a company being to having such a wide variety? Anybody have an idea as to why? Because the market got more competitive. Taste change and competition, right? When tastes change, so people may have pizza or spaghetti, but what changed really was more competition. And in order to get a family, you couldn't have the one kid who wouldn't eat a hamburger. You had to have something that appealed to them, so they got something else. And so all businesses now, if you look at it, do more than they did years ago. The competition is insanely intense in every industry. It's true in real estate. And so one of the things that's happened in real estate is the business went from being local, hyper-local, to national and international. The people make a living presenting investment opportunities to people in California of properties outside of California. That didn't happen 20 years ago. The nationalization of the real estate, of our economy. Drive around your neighborhoods today, and you'll see so many restaurants, not all, but so many are national and regional chains. You drive around and look at the oil change places, they're national chains. More businesses are nationalized. And that trend exists in every industry. One place that's true is real estate. That the business that used to be very hyper-local, and then you had different regional firms and franchises, is becoming more of a nationalized business. And that's certainly true in commercial real estate. Now, this call here is focused on multifamily. Traditionally, multifamily projects are housed in the commercial side of real estate companies as opposed to residential. 1 to 4 units would be residential units, 5 and up would be considered multifamily. And while there's some crossover, certainly the bigger projects are almost always in commercial real estate companies. And why is there a difference? Well, one reason is the products. As a real estate broker, I remember the multiple listing service. There's a rule that in any company, for the company to be a member of the multiple listing service, all agents in the company have to be in the multiple listing service. You can't have some and not others, obviously, because they would all cheat and give each other access. And the association wants to make people buy the membership. To do the forms, you can't get the real estate agent CAR forms, California Association of Realtor forms, unless you're a member. And the rule is if an office is a member, every member of the office has to be a member. So that's true for why residential companies all have MLS. Commercial agents will say, well, I don't use the MLS, so I want to pay for it. They have their own forms. They say they prefer. I don't know if they would prefer them. They're different. They cost different money. But many times commercial companies want different software. For example, most commonly CoStar. And CoStar can cost anywhere from $1,000 for the office to $600, and then per user as well. And CoStar requires everybody in the office has to pay a membership fee. So again, you have commercial companies where they only have commercial agents who want the CoStar. They don't want other agents in their office because they got to pay for that through CoStar. So you have kind of this bifurcation of companies. You have residential companies and commercial companies, and then the residential companies created commercial divisions or commercial equivalents. So you had Coldwell Banker is the biggest one, created Coldwell Banker Commercial, or CBRE. Richard Ellis was one of the first to do this. So they have the residential agents refer the commercial business to the commercial agents. KW Commercial was founded for that reason. You couldn't have residential agents and CoStar. You can't have CoStar agents without paying the MLS. You create a separate company, KW Commercial. You can belong to both if you're a broker, and there's some other rules and things like that. So I want to share with you just an amazing statistic that I saw that in commercial real estate, I saw this and my mouth dropped. And I thought I knew a lot about the company I'm affiliated with. So in real estate, you have of 97 billion square feet of commercial real estate. CRE is commercial real estate. These major companies, CBRE, which is Coldwell Banker, Colliers International, Cushman Wakefield, Jones Lang, Newmark, Seville's, eHouse. These 5 we see a lot. You go downtown LA, Beverly Hills, you see big commercial buildings, you see these signs. Here's the statistic that I saw amazing. In 1 year, EXP's commercial division is the 11th largest in the world by agent count. In 1 year, these companies have been around for 100 years, 105 years, 30 years, 40 years, most of my life, more than my life, 93 years. In 1 year, we've added 577 agents. So we often at EXP talk about ourselves being the Netflix of real estate. But this is showing year one what that really looks like. And why is that? Because we have 77,000 residential agents who aren't commercial agents who can refer business to those 577. So here's what I would say to you. I just want to offer this and throw this out. If you're interested in learning about this opportunity, I'm a EXP residential agent, but one of the benefits is I can build out my team and add agents into commercial. And I focus in probate real estate. And literally this month, I listed a industrial property on Jefferson Boulevard, put that in escrow. I'm getting ready to get signed at my seller's reviewing right now, a commercial listing in South LA. One's the one in escrow is over $3 million, and the one I'm listing is about $2.5 million. I never did this much commercial business before. So I'm broadening my product because I have relationships with people, and these deals came my way. And I had the skill on the probate side to help them. And then I have the resources to help them on the commercial business. And I just want to share with you, this is how I am trying to broaden my opportunities, how I'm working harder in a sense, though I'm not working many more hours. I'm working to broaden my opportunities so I can make more money and help more people and create more value for my customers. And so I had a great year in 2020 and a fantastic best ever 2021. I'm off to a better start this year because of those opportunities and looking outside my own business. And so I'd say to you that if you were an agent interested in multifamily, one way to find more multifamily deals is to talk to owners of multifamily properties, because some are going to want to sell and have you list it, and some will want to sell and you can buy it. And you got to do it more diligently, do it better. And perhaps the systems and tools we have as a company, our commission split compared to most commercial companies, that's the main reason why we're growing, is most commercial companies, they bring you in, your initial commission rate is like 20%, 30%. At EXP, it's 80%. So if you're interested in looking into that as an option, great. If you're interested in doing that somewhere else, fine. I'm all for it. At the end of the day, you've got to talk to more people and look at more deals to make more money. And whatever it is, try to find the resources that support you do that. We talked at the beginning about Grant Cardone as a way both for motivation and education and networking. That's where Annabelle is networking with people that she met at that event. And the other option I would say is look and make sure you have the right tools and you have the right format of a business to take advantage of the opportunities that happen to come your way. Okay, any questions on that? So I guess shameless plug for EXP, but again, those of us who are in the company say that it seems like everybody's coming, either coming now or they're coming later, because like Netflix, it's a disruptive technology that is not slowing down. And now we're applying it to commercial, and now we're applying it internationally as well. But more importantly, how does it apply for you and for your business? And so it's not one size fits all, but if not this, what are you doing to improve your business offering and improve your the value you create for your customers? Okay.
I do have a question, I guess, in terms of the fact that I was going to actually joke with you and Annabelle about EXP real t-shirts, because I was flying back from Atlanta last night and I ran into an agent in Baltimore, and he had a t-shirt, and it says, well, Bill nor Annabelle gives me a t-shirt, so where's the tracks? So what I'm saying, the question I have is what makes EXP grow better than the other commercial companies?
Yeah,
especially within a year.
Yeah, great question.
The t-shirts?
No, I didn't even know we had t-shirts, so I couldn't even. I have polo shirts that say EXP Realty. I don't even know if they have commercial shirts or not. I presume they do. Look, I think at the core, EXP, like, think back, I don't know about you guys, but when my daughter, who's now 25, was 8 or 10 years old, one of the most fun experiences with a child was taking them to Blockbuster Video. Anybody else besides me have kids? You took to Blockbuster in those days,
Yes.
right? And you go down the aisles looking for movies. Unlike the original video stores that were independent, it was a corporate. They were bigger, they were clean, they were bright. They had signs for the upcoming movies were coming out. Right? It was like exciting. I'm sure they had adult films, but they're all kind of in the back, whereas the small stores was all about the adult films, or at least was prominent. Blockbuster, there was like discreet back corner, whatever. So it was kid friendly. You could let your kids run around and not worry about it. And they had toys. They had, little movie toys, the little animals and stuff that can't go in the movies. And they had candy or popcorn. So my daughter would just freak to go and rent. If I said one movie, she'd want two. If I said two, she'd want three. And if I said one treat, she'd want two. That's just kind of how kids are, right? It was, and you think about it, two movies like $5 each, and the candy, whatever it was, $10 each, maybe it was $30. She went out of her mind for an hour going there. It was like one of the highlights. I don't know if you guys are young enough to remember that age, or ask your kids if they're old enough to describe it. It was like it was like better than Disneyland, right? It's gone, and it's $30 gone. How could that be? How did Blockbuster disappear? What happened? Anybody want to guess? It was so much
Internet.
easier to
The
do it on the
CD-ROM
internet.
Or DVDs,
So-
is that what did it?
Well, Netflix started with DVDs. They would mail them to you. My friend down the street had Netflix when it was DVD. And I was always scared they'd lose a DVD and I'd pay the penalty, and it just didn't seem to me. And I don't know, you had to wait a couple of days. Whereas you can go and just pick them out. Somehow the DVDs didn't do it for me. Initially, that's what Netflix started, was a DVD company. But when they grew was when they went to the online.
Yes.
Because it's so much cheaper than having a building, you can't compete. Even the DVDs, they had to have multiple warehouses, and they had to mail them out, they had to package them up. But once it's online, the cost difference was so great, you can't compete.
Scalability, right?
Well, also it was scalable, correct. But their cost to deliver was so much less, you couldn't compete with it.
The Wi-Fi enabled that whole thing. I mean, back when we were going to Blockbuster and getting VHS cassettes, bandwidth wasn't strong enough to do it. So technology had a
Correct.
way of completely transforming
Correct.
that industry.
Yes.
Correct. I remember in 1988, I was in the Chamber of Commerce in Diamond Bar. There was a lady who had a business called Moving Meals and Movies. They had a small little independent video store, in those days, VHS cassettes. And next door, they had a little Mexican food, fast food store. And you would call in and you'd order a movie or two and your dinner, and they'd drive it to your house. This is before DoorDash. It was like revolutionary. And it worked. Diamond Bar was a bit of an upscale neighborhood, but it was also planned community, so the roads were easy and such. Great concept. It just couldn't scale, couldn't grow past a certain point. The power of a virtual real estate company is it's so scalable. It's so scalable. I'll give you one little minor point. I would never say this in a recruiting discussion with an agent, but being with EXP. So we have 10,000 agents in the state of California. We have 11 managing brokers. Now we also have a whole team of commission people, transaction people, compliance people, administrators, all that stuff. They're all online. So they're hiring and firing nonstop. You don't know what's going on. But the 11 managing brokers, all they do is the managing broker work. They don't do commissions. They don't do transactions. They don't do, like in a normal office, copier runs out of copy paper. They run the broker's office. Hey, we're out of copy paper. We're out of coffee. And so because that's all they do, they're really good at it. It really creates a hyper-focused, qualified employee when you can control it virtually, if you manage it properly. And so the EXP, the other thing is, when your costs are lower, you have two choices. You can make more profit, or if you figure out how much you need, you can give back more to your customer and have a cost advantage. We're hiring agents in commercial at 80% start rate and capping them at $20,000. Nobody does that in the country. Nobody does that. It's just you can't compete on commission. Now, true, there are great offices. There's great mentors. There's great salespeople that you can learn from if you get in those offices. But increasingly successful salespeople at CBRE and Colliers and Marcus Millichap, increasingly, they only bothered with brand new people. They only bother people transitioning like for me to transition from residential to commercial, they wouldn't be bothered with that. I have brokers I can rely on to help me with these questions and with the process and the tools. And so part of it is also just the money. You know, for me, I was at Keller Williams. I paid a 6% royalty. I got zero for it. I got a profit share check one month, like $49.
Wow.
At EXP, I'm capped at 16,000, but the 5% is my stock. I pay. We have a revenue share program. I mean, a stock program where you can choose 5% of the top off the top, and it goes into my stock account. I have it. It's all my money. It's all mine, and it's more than my cap for the last 3 years. So basically,
Bill?
I've been over 100%. Yes.
What's the minimum charge to hang a license at EXP?
Well, I wouldn't use the word hang a license because we don't really want people who aren't producing. But I would say the monthly cost to join is $85 a month. It's $149 the first month and then $85 a month thereafter. And you get for
And
that.
then transactional split?
Each one's different. You know, there's a residential program that's different than the commercial program. I would say anybody's interested, contact me. I'd be glad to walk you through. You can go to zoomwithbillg.com. I'd be glad to sit down with you for 30 minutes and walk you through the commission structure in the program and see what questions are appropriate for you. But in general, it's an 80% split on residential to $16,000 the company. So when you're at $80,000, you keep 64, the company gets 16, and then you're at 100% the rest of the way. You pay a $250 transaction fee at that point. And then you also pay a $65 per transaction broker fee.
Okay.
So some transactional fees that you pay, but that includes what would be normally at other companies, E&O. We don't pay an errors emissions insurance. I work for a company where it's $150 a month. In a year, you pay $1,800. We don't pay that. We pay $65 a transaction, and the $40 portion's capped. I can go through the numbers with you, but I'll just tell you, it's a lot less because we're Netflix, not Blockbuster. We don't have the huge retail space, and we don't have employees sitting there opening and closing the doors. It's all done online.
I asked, I'm thinking about getting my real estate license just because the commission on the house that I'd like to buy is $20,000. So it'd be worth for me to save $20,000, to cram for the test and pass it.
Well, a couple of things. I'd say that you have to also, to join most real estate companies, ours included, you have to be a member of the board and a member of the multiple listing service. So the license in the school is probably about $2,000. MLS and association fees for years, probably about another $1,500, $2,000. You can spend about $4,000 to get qualified to do business. But that said, yeah, and then you have your license, at that point. So if you're going to do that, if you don't want to actually do transactions, you can get your license. There are companies that are called referral only, where that's where you hang your license. You don't belong to MLS, you don't belong to a board. You're simply licensed, but you're not allowed to do anything else other than collect referral fees.
But this is another question that some beginners might have, and I'm profoundly curious. Is there anything that the MLS system is going to give me for research or looking up new listings that Realtor.com or Zillow or Redfin won't?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a member of both. Obviously I can go into Zillow and Redfin and do regularly, partially because they're very fast. And so when I look up a property address, I'll just type in the property address. And if the first thing comes up, I prefer Redfin over Zillow, just for basic information. The MLS will have the marketing information. Who's the listing agent? What are the private remarks that they don't publish on the internet about the property? So common things are, for me, properties are occupied by tenants or not occupied by tenants. Tenants will vacate, they won't vacate, what they're paying, what they're not going to pay. Other pitfalls in the transaction. Really important when you buy the property, before you make an offer, that you read the private MLS remarks. They're designed to tell you what they want, how they want the offer to look, and that way it'll give you some clues as to what to do. Yeah. So as a professional agent, I can't imagine doing the business without being a member of the multiple listing service. It would be almost impossible. Then listing property, you can't put it onto Zillow or Redfin. I guess you could somehow as an owner, but as an agent, we list it. It's on 10 million websites. So to list the property MLS, there are companies you can list, like a self-service listing service for I think $175, but you get what you pay for. Now do you offer commissions to the other agents? or not? And if you do, then why aren't you paying your agent? Why are you paying other agents instead of the one
Yeah.
supporting you? So as a real estate agent, you have to believe that you're better than the average agent. If you're just as good as average, then you're going to be Netflixed out of business. You're going to be Redfinned or Zillowed out of business. I'm an expert. I'm an expert in probate real estate. I'm an expert in real estate transactions. And if you need that expertise, then you can pay me. And if you don't need it, don't pay it. That's fine with me either way. I'm busy enough without worrying about it. I think that as a real estate agent, you better work hard to find business and get it coming to you. Because if you need to get business from people and hope they choose you, the business is very difficult.
You know, I'm having a tough time exploring the cost benefit of it. And, you know, once you're an agent, there's all kinds of disclosures. If you're going to be doing off-market deals, and if say if I wanted, you know, I'm in the title business, so I can go look up foreclosures, I can look up who owns what, and go make off-market offers all the time.
Yes.
And several of my properties, even before I got in the title business, that's how I bought them. I just didn't
Yes.
realize that I was kind of doing a lot of legwork, and I could have just called a title friend and said, "Hey, give me this property profile, give me their tax mailing address. I want to mail them an offer." But now, you know, thinking that, well, I'd like to be able to be an agent so I can put deals together. If I find an off-market deal that I don't want,
Right.
then maybe I list it, or I call some
Correct.
other brokers and I put it together.
Correct.
So I don't know, do you have an opinion on that, whether to stay out of it and use friends like you or other connections to put deals together versus getting your own license if you're going to be doing off-market deals?
Well, first, I would only get my license if I was going to use it. Right? It costs $3,000 or $4,000 to get. I wouldn't frivolously spend that kind of money. So I'd want to have a plan of what I was going to do with it. I would say that, yeah, people buy houses without realtors all the time. I also see them make a lot of mistakes. Certain houses you can't buy without an agent. Once it's listed, they're going to pay commission to somebody. They're either going to pay it to you, they're going to pay it to another agent. I work in probate, where you can't go into probate court and buy a property without an agent. You're going to pay a commission to somebody. Why not use a probate expert like me that will help you hopefully get the deal? Like yesterday, I went and helped them get the deal they couldn't get on their own. So to answer your question, I think that it's like anything else. The being a real estate agent is a tool. If I said to you, I have a hammer in my toolbox, you have one, is my hammer worth anything? No, my hammer is there. So when my son-in-law comes over, I show it to him and he does something with it. I don't know what to do with the hammer. As a real estate agent, maybe for you when you're brand new, it's not worth anything. For me, I make a lot of money because I create a lot of money for my clients. I help them get a lot of good deals. I help them get deals they otherwise couldn't get. I help them get out of deals they want to get out of, protect them from making mistakes because of the documents. And when I tell the new agents I coach all the time and on my team, I'm a ninja realtor. I'm not just an average realtor. I'm like the cream of the crop. And the documents, the contracts that we use are my sword and knives. I know how to use them like a master swordsman. If you're going to, I had a discussion with a top agent yesterday. I been a property we wanted, and he was a listing agent. And it was kind of like we're squaring off a little bit. He was very nice. He was very respectful about it. But there was a certain mutual respect, like, no, I get you can be difficult, and I get you can be difficult. Let's work together and try to make this thing work together. Because if my client wants out, my job is to use those tools to get them out, right? And if they're trying to kick my client out, and I've had this happen, my job is to use those tools to keep my client in the deal. So in of itself, the real estate status means nothing, but it's a tool that if you learn how to use it, it's very powerful. And I've chosen to make that my career path. As an investor, I would say if you're just a part-time investor looking at a few deals, it's not worth your time. This is all I do for my business. This is how I make money. I make money selling houses. I also make some other money that people, the years I've been involved with the businesses and made some investments. But basically my 9 to 5 days a week is selling houses. If your business is investing, being a licensed agent might be an opportunity for you to, like you say, list the houses that you don't bid on. Maybe not. That's up to you to decide. I invest, but I don't. So my investments are, I make a lot of money at the end of the year. I take a chunk and invest it in something else that's passive. So I have investments in multifamily units out of state. And I get a rate of return. I get a nice tax deduction and a rate of return for that. I'm really happy with those. I do 1 or 2 lipstick flips a year. I find a deal that I can buy, junk it out, clean it up, take pictures and put it back in the market, make a profit. I do that as well. What I don't do is I don't do fix ups. It's just, I don't like it. I don't understand it. I don't have anything to do with it.
But I mean, when you do that, when you flip a building and you're not a broker, I mean, you're paying essentially, 7% in a year on a transaction. That's a big part of any portfolio return. I mean, some people are making 50% returns, but think about that. 7% out of 50, that's like a 14% of your cost going right out to sales commissions. And
How
so
about the proposal at the state assembly to charge flippers 25% surcharge on flip properties? How about that one?
Ooh. That'll certainly change things.
Yeah.
A lot of people be
Is
out
it-
looking for jobs.
Is that in California or is that
California.
nationwide? Okay.
Nobody's dumb enough to do that outside California.
Okay.
Only we write these stupid rules that make it impossible to build or buy houses. Yeah, it's crazy. No, good point. And it is a big chunk of it. On the other hand, I find deals for my investors. I get them the deal. They wouldn't have it without me. So, it kind of cuts both. I have a client to help him get a deal that he bought for $2 million. And he
On
can sell it
out-of-state deals, do you get a special rate or talk your way through maybe a negotiated rate? Hey, I'm going to give, if you're going to help me on the sale or the purchase of this thing, can you help me on the sale and kind of give me a break?
Yeah, I do
Because
that. I do that.
likelihood
With
of
an investor where I help them buy the property, I'll say I want to do the listing, but I'll give you a discount. If I bring them the deal entirely, I will get my commission on the front end. And I'll say, but I'd like to list in the back end, but instead of 2.5%, I'll charge you 1%, maybe, or 1.5%. It depends who the client is. It's all negotiable. See, that some of the property is a lot easier. It's less work for me, right? And I already have the client, I already have the property, I already have all the data and the documents and such. So I'm a businessman. I'm not looking to cut my commission, but I'm looking, if I have cost savings, I'll pass it on to the client just to make it simple.
Sure. Okay.
Well, good. Glad to help if I can, Kevin. Anybody else have questions, challenges, issues regarding multifamily or licensing or anything related to that?
I'm so sorry. I got to run. I got a 3 o'clock. I'm jumping on. So
We're
pleasure listening
over
to you.
time. We went long on this. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks so much, everybody. Hey, this is our Wednesday
Thank you.
multifamily investing Zoom call with Annabelle Pacheco. Today I was a guest host. We talked about Grant Cardone. We talked about getting educated, and we talked about real estate licensing and some opportunities there. We do this every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's also recorded, and if you're registered, you'll get a copy of it. Thanks for being on the call today. As I tell everybody every time I sign off, make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.